Say it's the CHGO Cubs pregame show podcast. It's the Crosstown Showdown. We're getting ready for Cubs and White Sox on the Southside tonight for the first time. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, and Greg Braggs producing. If you're wondering where we were, don't worry, faithful. It was the fact that we were just on the Sox stream. We were trolling the Southsiders for a few minutes. Not on purpose, but it happened anyway.
Yeah, it was almost like God wanted it to happen. So, you know.
And I can't be blamed. I can't be blamed for it.
No. Yeah, I feel like that's something that you would have tried to do, though. Or
right.
Braggs. Maybe Braggs did it on purpose. But anyway.
All I know is I come back to do a show. They stick us in Studio B. It's sweltering hot. I'm sweating. I'm sitting in a pool of my own sweat. Yes. And then we're doing the Sox show.
I know.
Have I gone to hell? That's what it felt like. Yeah. A little bit.
I feel like there's a lot of disrespect. So we should take this energy into tonight's ball game and win by like 20 runs.
This is the first time ever that Barbara, when she puts "Are they live?" it's a legitimate question that we're asking here.
This is live. This is not live. 2022.
Gosh.
Yes, everything's going well, everybody. Thanks for welcoming me back. Brian went a little far to say goosebumps. Hearing my voice, that's pushing it. And yes, we did see the report. By the way, about, sounds like John Dietz says Rocky Wirtz has passed away, the chairman of the Blackhawks. So obviously a lot going on in Chicago sports. We're here to talk baseball. So we've got Cubs, White Sox, first time this season. Are both teams selling? Sox certainly are selling. I will argue that the Cubs are certainly selling, but that's for another. I don't want to be the buzzkill first day back.
Well, listen, if everyone in the chat knows, I'm out on the team right now. I need them. I said they need to win these two against the Sox, and I think that might buy myself back in. So we'll see. They got to win these two against the Sox. They should, but when these two teams get together, they're always close. The Cubs were terrible last year, and they still managed to play up with the Sox last year. And
that's right.
I think they won one of the three, but they were in every game, and now it's almost like the roles are reversed. Like, obviously, the Cubs are a better team than them, but they're not. They don't have high expectations like the Sox did last year.
Right.
You know, and the Sox have been a massive disappointment. They're supposed to at least be in the division race, and they're not anywhere close to that. And they're in the worst division of
19
baseball.
games under.
19 games under.
Gary thinks Cody's mic is off.
Is my mic off?
Is it working?
Test. Don't let the... Okay. All right. Appreciate you. Super chat from Foreign Empire. Best Cubs lineup tonight, just missing Madrigal.
I left. Madrigal was playing. I come back. Madrigal's hurt again.
Yep. Mastroboni he's had 3 really good games though. So we have now entered the summer of Miles Mastroboni stuck. Also, the summer of Mike Tauchman. You've missed that. You've missed so much of that.
I saw a lot of it. I spent a lot of time in Arlington Heights, and I thought, so here we go. Am I going to run into Tauchman? Mm-hmm. I did not. I had a couple meals in downtown Arlington Heights, but
the entire time we thought you were, in Mexico or something, but you were just doing a staycation the entire time. He just wanted to get away from the Cubs. I mean, I don't blame you.
Listen, let's be honest. Let's be honest. What did I miss? I missed Gary commenting about Slaughter had a big game. I missed Collada saying we stinks. And I missed that Niren was upset about the fact that we drafted the wrong people for like 5 years in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about what you missed. Oh, and also Barb asking if it's live.
Barb wants to know if it's live.
Barb's been pretty wild on the chat without you here. She's been asking some, or not asking, but just been saying some wild shit.
Also, she wants to know if I was in a Mexican prison. No, but I did.
Perhaps.
I did have time to finish Better Call Saul.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did finish
Nice.
that. I don't remember most of it though, but. You want, what were you saying, Braggs?
I was going to say, the other thing you missed was I got to join Cody on a post-game show, one of the biggest of the year, where the Cubs had like 17 runs in the last 2 innings.
Yeah, they won like 17-3 that day. Yeah.
So, and maybe you'll get to see my Ohtani rant that I finished the show with.
You guys will always have that day.
I will have it
We
forever.
will always have that day.
How many beer chugs did I miss?
Well, I canceled the beer bat after they lost.
What do you mean you canceled it?
Like,
Like cancel culture?
Yeah, I canceled it because I was like, they're not getting the beer bat until they make it past the deadline, and it's because they ended up not selling off the entire roster. Because after they lost the first game against the Nationals, that means they had lost 3 of their first 4 games after the All-Star break, and they were at least 8.5 games back in division. And I was like, screw this team. I'm out. I'm done. Beer back's canceled. We're going to sell everyone. We're going to sell for the 3rd straight
Wait a minute.
year.
So when
I'm
was the
done.
last beer bat?
Before the All-Star break.
Boy, everything's just falling apart here. There's
know.
no beer bats.
Yep.
Gary wants to know if I named my child Jake Slaughter. No.
Jake Slaughter, Jake Slaughter, Stuckmeyer. Kind of goes well together. It's like I did say that I'm going to name my future kid Mike Talkman Delmendo. So
Really?
yeah, I did say that. Yeah,
Talkie Delmendo, they'll just call him.
he'll be doing something like this one day too. That Talkie Delmendo. There you go. Goes
Craig
well.
says it feels like it's been ages. Yes, thank you for all the congratulations. You can never leave your vacation. Listen, Shay, this train was going downhill long before I took off for a little bit. Like, come on.
We played a bit of the moment you left, the Cubs started losing, and we were like, this is all Luke's fault. But then they started winning again, and then they started losing. Like, it's just been a very, very unsettling roller coaster the entire time you've been gone.
Wow. Well, I mean, tonight, so you got Sox, right? I was like, I got to be back for the Crosstown. No matter, it's more fun, obviously, when the teams are good.
Right.
That's when it's the best. That's when Barrett punches AJ. That's like the last time they were both good.
When Ramirez hits the walk-off homer.
Yeah, those are great moments in Crosstown. This has become, it's just playing the Sox, but there's still something to it. Mm-hmm. Like somehow, no matter even if the teams are rotten, you just still crank it up just a little. The teams probably don't, but the fans crank it up just a little bit.
I've always thought that this quote unquote rivalry is more of a fans thing than it is a teams thing.
Oh yeah,
they don't play each other enough for me to think that the players don't like playing each other. You don't get that same disdain as whenever even when the Cubs go up to Milwaukee. I feel like the players on each side of the team they don't like each other. But in this series, I feel like it's more of a fan thing, and specifically people from Chicago.
Well, the Cubs and Sox are never good at the same time, ever.
Yeah.
It's more
like
rare than
2008, I think, is the last time.
It's more rare than a unicorn. This year is a little weird, though, because normally Sox fans are really fired up for this series. And maybe my Cubs bias is coming out, but this is a Cubs show. Sox fans are so mad at their own team right now that I don't even know if they're really focusing their normal anger they have at the Cubs and their fans because of what the Sox are doing right now. So it is kind of a weird vibe going into this game.
I will say that from my experience, I have never heard a Cubs player say they get excited or up for the Sox more than they would a Cardinals series or any other series, just because, it's an American League team. I know there are members of that 2005 White Sox team who despise the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
AJ's one of them. He may just tell you that flat out, but I know that there are members of that franchise who despise the Chicago Cubs. And I sort of get it. You finally won the World Series, and you're still not the favorite team in town. Mm-hmm. That's the reality of it. Just go about your business. Enjoy what you did. Now, they haven't won a playoff series since then.
Right.
And this team,
it's hard to compete with beautiful historic Wrigley Field, man. Like obviously
by the way, the shirt right now, On sale, I believe.
On sale, yes. We
do have
CHGO.com.
I haven't missed that.
CHGO locker. Yes, obviously the Cubs use Wrigley Field to bring fans in, but also you don't get that same vibe whether whether you're at Wrigley or not. You can watch a game on TV. I feel like you can feel the energy at Wrigley comparatively to whenever you're watching a White Sox game. I just feel like it's so much different. And yeah, the White Sox have been they have been the baseball version of the Bulls for honestly since 2008 at the very least. Like they run out the same front office. It took a billboard to get them to get rid of the other guys for the Bulls, and now I've already seen a couple Sox billboards up around town where they're trying to get Jerry to sell the team, and Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams have literally been there forever. Like they just, if there's anything that makes me feel good about the Cubs is like I watch one Reinsdorf-owned team throughout the year, and that's the basketball team. I couldn't do two, man. I couldn't do two. So I think everyone here in the chat, no matter how annoyed and pissed off this organization makes us, I still think we're in a better position than the White Sox. No matter what happens the rest of this year, I still felt like that last year. Like
they missed their chance to trade guys in the offseason.
Yeah.
Before I tried to tell the Sox guys and Kevin Kaduk, I said, listen, you should trade Tim Anderson this offseason. They're like, no. As soon as Correa fell through to the Giants, you should have called the Giants and said, we'll take your top 5 prospects.
Mm-hmm. For Tim Anderson, yeah.
Tim Anderson, should have done it. Mm-hmm. The trade value that he was going to have then was, now if you trade him, you're trading so low.
Mm-hmm. So he's a very good candidate for change of scenery, bounce back type guy now, right?
They've made some big mistakes. Barb says, good to see you, Stucky. Good to see Stucky's back. Barb, you missed it. Everything was on my tab while I was gone.
Everything.
So she obviously missed out. I just left a credit card. Actually, it was the CHGO diehard card. Obviously. And I said, here, just put it all in the diehard card while I'm gone. Here's the Cubs lineup for today against the White Sox. You've got Kyle Hendricks, potentially, deadline coming up, potentially pitching his last game in a Chicago Cubs uniform, played in Chicago on the Southside, if that makes sense. Right. The Palatine Pounder, the Arlington Heights Annihilator, Mike Talkman leading off, Nico Horner, Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, Seiya Suzuki, ahead of Dansby Swanson, as pointed out by Niren. Also ahead of Morel, Jan Gomes, and Cody's favorite player, Miles Mastroboni, playing third base.
Oh, yeah. It's a bit, but I do like to stand the guy. It's so much easier to kind of root for the guys that everyone doesn't like. But he's had a good couple games, so we'll see what he does tonight. He's at the bottom of the lineup. Obviously, the Cubs, if they find themselves in a position to buy, they gotta get third base figured out. But
Barb says top 5 prospects. Is he on edibles and Malort? No, I mean I was obviously exaggerating top 5 prospects.
I like tonight's lineup though, considering they're going up against Michael Kopech, who obviously he's got great stuff, but he walks a lot of people. I think it's almost virtually a lock that Ian Happ is going to walk at least once tonight. And Cody Bellinger is the hottest player or hottest hitter on the planet right now. So. Yeah, I mean, Kyle Hendricks doesn't have great numbers against the White Sox in his career,
and it's hot out.
Yeah, I think offense will be. I think we could see a lot of offense tonight. So we'll see. I don't know, but like I said, like I have been saying, the Cubs need to win these 2 games. If they're not selling. They're not selling here at the deadline. They got to win these 2 games.
6 games before the trade deadline. You say the number is 5-1. That would convince the front office. Yeah, all right, hold off.
Well, I don't know if it would convince the front office, but it would
convince you.
It would convince me that they could buy. And also, with the launch of this new streaming service at Marquee today, how bad would it look if you release this out, charge people $20, which is under market value comparatively to other teams around the league that have their own network? how bad would it look to launch that and then a week later sell half the roster? So I'm just saying, we'll see what happens.
The best thing they could do if they're worried about image, a sell-off right now, we'll get into this, I'm sure, in postgame, but a sell-off is not the thing that's going to kill the image. A sell-off and then not adding major players in the offseason, that would be what kills the image.
And
you could sell off, and if you bring back Cody Bellinger as the most, as your second biggest guy, and you throw all the money in the world at Shohei, nobody remembers the sell-off.
Yeah.
Nobody cares that Stroman's not on a team if you go out and get Shohei in the offseason.
Right.
Now, do I think that's likely? No, but a sell-off doesn't necessarily mean that it's an image-killing thing for the Cubs.
I think a lot of us have discussed, a lot of us here on this podcast have discussed, if they do sell, hopefully you can get some impact-ready guys who can help the team next year or, can come up immediately and play for your team now, and you're not going to know what you're going to get out of them, but at least they're young guys under team control. And, I think everyone is pretty much against trading those guys for 18 or 19-year-old teenagers that are going to take 3-4 years. So I think that's a key point here. And if they do end up selling, so again, I want to root for them to buy, but they got to convince me that they can get back to 500. They win these two, they'll be one game under 500 going into St. Louis, who they just won 3 out of 4. St. Louis's roster could look completely different by the time they go to St. Louis if they win these two. Obviously, they're going to sell. So, it's a really good opportunity for this team to get to 500 and then maybe even get to a game or two above 500 and see where you're at in the wild card race, even the division. The Brewers and the Reds have toughs. The Brewers and Reds are playing each other right now, and then the Reds have the Dodgers this weekend, and the Brewers have the Braves again. So the Cubs' schedule is favorable, and they can find themselves in a better spot. They're 7 games back in the Central. Coming in tonight was 6.5 going into yesterday, but because Milwaukee won, they picked up a half game. But they did pick up a half game on the wild card, so they're 5 games back in the wild card going tonight. So a lot could happen for good and also for bad tonight.
Do you think they're going to be a 500 team at the end of the season? 500 or better?
It just depends on what happens.
Factor in the trade deadline possibilities.
If they sell,
if you had to repick obviously we're probably not going as high as we did with our preseason picks, but if you had to repick now, would you put them at 500?
Knowing what I know now, I probably would pick right around the same amount of numbers that Vegas had them at.
Yeah.
Vegas had them at 77.5. The over-under was 77.5, so I guess I would pick somewhere around there. I don't think they've had bad moments where, of course they got to 10 under and then they won 11 or 13 and then they got cold again when they came back from London and, fell back to 5, 6 under and they kept going back and forth, going from 5 to 6 to 7 under. And, they've outside of the Red Sox series, they've played well of late and they're back to 3 under and they have this is a week where they can really take advantage of this, not only the schedule, but to get to 500 and then perhaps ascend from there and really change the idea of what this front office might be thinking. I genuinely think if the team plays well this week, that if they do sell, they're going to absolutely wait until the day of the trade deadline. I don't think they're going to make any move this week or going into the weekend. I think it's definitely something that would happen on August 1st.
Well, if they decide they're going to trade, I hope they don't get caught twiddling their thumbs like they did at the end of last year where it was we didn't get it done. Yeah. All right. How about a DraftKings pick of the night, Cody? What are you gonna dabble in? Where are you gonna put the money at?
Well, I said earlier that Ian Happ is almost virtually a lock to get a walk tonight. It's at minus 160. So if you want to put down a sizable, you want to put down the juice, go for it. I'm not doing that, but I do like the hit parlay tonight, which is Cody Bellinger, Mike Tauchman, and Ian Happ. Bellinger, like I said, hottest player on the planet. Kind of like the Chicago versus Chicago for Mike Tauchman. I think he could have a good night. He's going to be leading off, so he's going to get the most plate appearances.
Talkinator.
And then Ian Happ. He has, he's been playing well of late. Ever since I started picking him or Seiya Suzuki for who you got to save their seasons, him and Seiya Suzuki have been playing better. How that happened, I don't know. Just called manifestation. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
So you learned.
Yeah, that's the hit parlay tonight. It comes out to like plus 250, I believe, after you use the boost on DraftKings Sportsbook. So that's the hit parlay.
Bragsy has our White Sox lineup for tonight. By the way,
nice
the takeover
it's tomorrow
on the south side is tomorrow. That is sold out. But the takeover on the north side next week, not sold out.
It's not next week. It's August 16th.
August, I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, my days are all... It's all tomorrow for me.
Yeah.
Everything is tomorrow.
Everything is tomorrow.
Everything is tomorrow. Yeah. It's in August on the north side. I'm locked in. I don't have my ticket yet, but I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
You're going to be there. We're going to go big time. Hopefully the Cubs still have some players. Hopefully they're in the hunt. Yeah. Maybe they went. I would personally think 6-0 is the number. They would have to be 6-0.
And if you're in the upper tank tomorrow night in the 500 level, I think we're in like 529.
Yep.
Yeah.
Section 529. So if you're up there and you want to come by and say hi to the crew, come on by.
Yeah. I know for us at least, I will be there.
529ing. What the 108 crew that they call 108ing or
They're
something?
in the 108.
The 108. Yeah.
That's down low.
We've taken over. We're
the 529ers.
Yeah, the
529ers. It's like
no obstructed view in our section.
Yeah, no.
Take that 108.
Yeah.
Dorks.
So, but Ryan will be at the park too, but he'll be in the press box. But Braggs, you're going to be there?
I'll be there.
Okay, so the two meatballs will be there at the very least.
The meatballs will be there.
You know what's funny? Braggs, you're from Indiana, so you're really closer to the Sox ballpark, but you became a Cubs fan.
That's correct. I was born into it.
I think a lot more people in Indiana are Cubs fans than they are Sox.
Yeah, in our area.
Is that right?
Northwest Indiana. I mean, you went to Valparaiso,
I know
right?
There's a lot of Southside fans, too.
Well, nobody's perfect.
I feel like every person I know from Indiana is a Cubs fan. And we get a lot of people who are in the chat who have a lot of Indiana, related pictures that are, in our show. So like there's a lot of Cubs fans.
Well, it's hard to identify because like with Cub fans, when you drive by their house in Indiana because they got the W flag fine.
Yeah.
With Sox fans, how do you identify them? The trash cans sitting outside their house?
Wow.
Hey-o!
Now
let's get to their lineup.
Right.
This is the lineup here.
Look at Braggs. He's not holding back.
See the direction we've gone.
Okay, so we got Benintendi batting leadoff in the left. Tim Anderson batting second at short. Luis Roberts having an unreal season.
Other than Robert,
yeah.
If you had to pick one guy off that lineup to be on the Cubs team, who would it be? Obviously, Luis Robert is a guy you would want on your team.
Well,
I'm cool with that.
So you got, So then you got Eloy, Moncada, Vaughn.
Benintendi's been a horrible signing.
Grandal, Berger, and Colos. Benintendi's been a good contact there. Yeah, but his power has been gone for years. He hit like 5 home runs last year. The fact that if anyone actually had any hope that he was going to be a home run hitter for them, I don't know. I don't think he's.
Does Madrigal still have more home runs than Tim Anderson?
Yes. Okay. And Miles Mastrobuoni now has more home runs than Tim Anderson.
Individually.
Combined, even. They have more
combined, obviously they do, yeah.
Who would I rather have? I guess maybe Oscar Colas because he's young. He's a rookie. They're one of their best prospects coming into the year. The Cubs have plenty of outfield prospects, so they don't technically need him.
I'll be honest
maybe
with
Jake
you.
Berger because he can play some third base for you. It's not a good defensive third base, but he's a power hitter.
Another DH.
There's not a lot of guys on their team that I want back.
Cease is the guy, but I'm saying in that lineup, when you look at that lineup, to me that guy is probably Tim Anderson if you believe that there's an asterisk next to this season because of all the stuff off the field and he's checked out. Like, do I think Tim Anderson could still be a really good baseball player? Yes, but I've said all along I don't think he's any better than Nico Horner or Dansby Swanson. He's the third best shortstop in town.
Yeah.
Now that said, if you could turn if you could flip him and have an infield that included all three of those, and Tim Anderson could go back to the player that he was, okay.
That'd be pretty interesting if the Sox would actually trade Tim Anderson to the Cubs for and they wouldn't even be for a lot because he hasn't played well enough to have any real value.
I don't know about trading. I don't know what they're going to do with him because, like I said,
he can't play
trading
third
at the lowest point possible for him.
Yeah,
no,
and he can't play third.
Can't play short. He's a second baseman.
Yeah, You'd have to move Nico to third or something like, and I don't think the Cubs are going to do that. So like it's
agreed. He didn't really fit. I'm just saying in the lineup, you could say I'd add a bat. Now Eloy, sure he's a great DH, but guy's hurt all the time.
He's hurt all the time. Yeah,
that trade's not as bad as it was.
But now
every day that goes by, that trade is not as bad.
No, they jinxed it.
Thanks, Cubs.
Yep. They jinxed it with their thanks Cubs.
Yeah.
And what have they done? Eloy's been hurt every year. Yeah. They haven't won a playoff series. The Cubs
have not won a playoff series since 05.
They traded for Quintana. They won a playoff series with Quintana.
The Cubs are actually up 1-0.
He pitched in a game they won against the Nationals at Wrigley Field. Yeah. It was that was the Anthony Rizzo when he declared, what did he yell after he got respect me game?
Yeah. Something I've taken to.
They haven't done anything. The only thing they get from it is Dylan Cease, being the runner-up for Cy Young. That's what they got. Good for you. And now you're not going to
re-sign him. It took them a few years to get him to even become that kind of pitcher, too. And
a mustache, too.
Because for a while, it was almost flipped where it was like, oh, Eloy's the big piece from this trade because he was hitting, but, and then the injury started coming, and then Cease decided to be a Cy Young pitcher, and everyone's like, oh, well, we got Cease at least. And now it's just like, well, your entire team sucks, and you have to basically restart again. Like, again, the fact that they're supposed to be in their winning window and they're 19 under, yikes, man.
Barb says Eloy makes Schwarber look like Willie Mays. Andrew Vaughn's another guy that might be your option just because you're struggling at first base to find the right guy.
He's young. They're not going to trade him.
Let's get to who you got, because I walk in the door and the first thing Cody yells at me is, Ryan's caught you and who you got. Not true. Because we go by win percentage on who you got, and when you look at the who you gots, I'm a 454 batter. Ryan is batting 323 on the season. Tonight's picks, I got mine in bright and early because I'm up bright and early every day, and I got mine in because, again, you can make the pick before the lineups come out, but if your guy is scratched or doesn't play, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
So I got Belly. I got the hot bat with Belly.
You knew he was going to be in there. Yeah.
Figured he's going to be there unless he gets hurt.
I took the liberty of putting my nicknames for these guys as
Happers.
Yeah, I call them Happers.
And there is nothing for Saya.
Well, I'm not that clever.
Swansby.
I call him Swansby. I tried to pitch this to Cody.
Well, who are you picking tonight?
My pick every game is Shohei Ohtani until we sign him every day. So whatever Ohtani does, that's my pick.
Nobody
Brags
picked Talkman.
Will probably win who you got every time.
Nobody picked Talkman. I almost took Talkman, but I didn't.
Well, Luke, you were gone. I tweeted like a week and a half ago that was like, I'm going to start taking Seiya or Hap to save their seasons, and they have played better since I tweeted that. All right? Maybe while we're watching the game tonight, I can figure out their numbers since I tweeted that, because they were really struggling, and lately they've been hitting.
I have one question.
Big of me.
We're past the 7 o'clock hour already, and we will be here for the hour-long post-game show afterwards. We hope you'll join us for it afterwards. Thanks to everybody that joined in the pregame show. Question is, if the Cubs beat the Sox in Game 1 of the Crosstown Showdown, Cody Delmendo, will the beer bat be back?
No, not yet.
It's disappointing.
I'm sorry.
Disappointing.
Luke. I know.
I expected all the bells and whistles.
To spin it, though, someone said in the chat that if the Cubs stay hot, that I shouldn't bring the beer bat back until they start to struggle again to change the vibe back. So...
Vanilla Chill says no beer bat until they're over 500.
Yes.
Or they trade for Shohei.
No, they ain't going to trade for Shohei. But I think over 500 or at 500, then I might do it. So no beer bat tonight. There won't be a beer bat tomorrow. I will find a way to get a bat before the weekend if they hit over if they get over 500. I guess Friday.
All right, we'll see what happens. Kopech against Hendricks, Cubs, Sox on the Southside. Game 1 will be here afterwards. We hope to see you at the takeover tomorrow. Yep. But until the post-game show, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. And shout out to everybody that joined us in the chat. We will see you afterwards.
I'll be much more organized.
Brags will have us on the Cubs feed, not the Sox feed. We will not be on the Sox Unless the Cubs win, then you should just put us on both.
Although I did like that angle. And as soon as this is over, I'm going to run and crash this Sox.
I've already said if the Cubs win, we're taking over Studio A.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree because it's freaking hot in here.
I have to throw down with Sean Anderson. That's what's going to happen. All right. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs pregame show podcast. We'll be back here after the game. Until then, fly the W.